Hello and welcome to Diecast Restos. My name is Jason and this is a Lesney Matchbox No. 62B TV service van. It was in the Matchbox series between 1963 and 1968. The van had lots of nice little features added, including a roller rear door, rooftop mounted ladders and aerial, and 3 television sets of differing sizes. Mine is very much worn out, missing all of those pieces, most of its paint, has a very poorly looking transparency, and a bent front axle. Here's how it would have looked when it was brand new, with those plastic components still on their sprue. I've got myself some reproduction parts for this from Steve Flowers Model Supplies. The van replaced the AEC General Service lorry for 1963. It was the third and final BF based van in the Matchbox range, following the earlier 69A 30 hundredweight van from 1959, which I restored a couple of years back, and the concurrent 47B ice cream canteen released the same year. I restored a pair of these back in 2022. Despite its similarities to the 47B, this 62B is actually an entirely new casting. They were all painted in a cream colour and had a green tinted transparency which formed the cab windows as well as a rooftop skylight. Its rear roller door was off-white plastic with its simple metal mechanism forming part of the base plate. This arrangement is reminiscent of the No. 46B Pickford removal van, another I've previously worked on. This and the skylight, plus the ladder and aerial attachment points, are why the 47B and 62B differ. The base connected to the body on the 62B using tongue and slot fittings at the front and back of the casting. Later on in production, the front was attached using a rivet instead. It was usually fitted with knobbly or fine tread black plastic wheels. Grey wheels can also be found on early issues, but these are much rarer. Originally, the model was fitted with red Rentaset decals matching those mine had. These were then changed to green Radio Rentals decals partway through production, and I'll delve into why shortly. After 5 years in the Matchbox range, the van was replaced by the Mercury Cougar in 1968, yet another I've previously worked on back in the earlier days of the channel. Rentaset were a company started in 1930 by Joseph Robinson, concerned with radio relay and radio rentals. Its name was changed to Relay Exchanges Limited in 1964 as it merged with Radio Rentals, a company of similar concern also set up in 1930 by Percy Perring Toms. Both companies moved into television rental following the rise of broadcast television in the UK after the Second World War. Sets were initially expensive, so both firms and their competitors took advantage of this opportunity to rent them out at more affordable monthly pricing. With the 1964 merger, Robinson became chairman of Radio Rentals. In an exchange of shares, Relay Exchanges acquired the Radio Rentals brand in 1966, as well as Doors Radio Group, Bed Television, Television Rentals, and Recordercool, plus other associated companies with similar names to sit alongside Rentaset. 2 years later, in 1968, Thorn Electrical Industries took over Radio Rentals and merged their radio and television activities, though the companies were run completely separately. Business boomed again in 1969 following the introduction of colour television broadcasts in the UK. This was followed by another boom in the late 70s, with video recorders now being offered by Radio Rentals. Similarly, with the advent of satellite broadcasting in the 80s, Radio Rentals offered a range of equipment to enable this. They also offered white goods for rental. However, with the reducing cost of consumer electronics, Radio Rental's customer base began to diminish as people chose to purchase rather than rent. In 1979, Thorn had merged with EMI to form Thorn EMI. The company began divesting many of their businesses, and this continued through to the 90s. Shareholders voted to demerge Thorn from EMI in 1996, with the Rentals division forming part of Thorn plc. Radio Rentals had been a high street mainstay, boasting more than 500 stores, over 2 million customers, and a staff of more than 6,300 at its peak. With the company struggling to maintain its rental business model, it began to restructure and shed staff, before ceasing to trade in 2000 in the UK. It merged with Granada Rentals to form Box Clever, but that too went into administration in 2003. Over in Australia and New Zealand though, the Radio Rentals brand is still intact after beginning as a brand in 1937. Stores operated in South Australia as RR Rentlo reinvented due to another business using the Radio Rentals name, while in New Zealand they operated as DTR. Australian stores closed in 2020, but Radio Rentals continues to operate online, while in New Zealand there are 21 DTR stores. Now, I've talked about the Commer BF in both of my previous restorations of similar castings, but I'll quickly recap. It was introduced by the Roots Group in 1957, had a 1.5 ton payload capacity, and had powerful engines for its time. The BF was also sold under the Carrier mark with more economical engines. With the introduction of their walkthrough van in 1961, something I've covered in a Husky restoration video previously, the BF was offered as a cheaper alternative to it before being discontinued in 1966. And with that, the TV service van has been reassembled. So all it needs now are some finishing touches. Here was how my Lesney Matchbox TV Service van was looking. It was in a sorry state with all of that paint chipping. The transparency was so cloudy and scratched. The decals were almost non-existent. The front axle had been bent out of shape, and it was missing its trio of televisions, its set of ladders, and its aerial. An excellent candidate for restoration, it just needed some reproduction pieces from Steve Flowers Model Supplies. And here they are, all combined to recreate that factory fresh look. One of my favourite bits about this is the difference in transparency condition. It is night and day. The Model Supplies decals look excellent with that yellowed backing. I think perhaps the shade could do with being a bit more creamy, but I decided to use TS7 white as 1, I use up my old rattle cans, and 2, I figured these lighter colours are more susceptible to yellowing over time. Otherwise, I'm really pleased with the result. Please do leave a like if you are a fan, and put your thoughts in writing in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me if you like hearing about the histories of not only the model and the real vehicle, but of the companies they are advertising too. Anyway, that's it for now. All that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.